I'd just like to thank Janice and Donald for producing this wonderful pamphlet, The Fall of Singapore, to mark, which has been published only a few days after the 80th anniversary of the fall of Singapore, British surrender in biggest surrender in British military history, which resulted in many thousands of Allied prisoners being forced to work on the notorious death railway from Burma to Siam, including my father. So the first poem I'm going to read from this collection is one specifically about the death railway, culled from lots of research that I've done, lots of different accounts of different survivors. I'll just call it up. And there's two aspects to this, really. I mean, first, the fact that food became their main fantasy rather than sex, and also that eating became a private function rather than a communal function for some reason. Eating in private. It wasn't long before food replaced sex in their fantasies. Conjuring carvings of roast beef became a nightly reflex. Rice cakes, dished up by Scots guards, suggested imaginings of meat. So they told tales, Lancashire hot pot, black pudding. Starving men lusted for shepherd's pie, digested air raid, all clear stew in their jungle jail. Cafes and corner houses, bangers, mash, bacon and eggs, drooled, slavered, licked lips. Captives with stick legs, sores, ulcers, slashes on backs, saw it as a private function, turned away from each other, hunched, ashamed, savoured each morsel, a hang fellowship, took dead men's rations without compunction. When bellies were empty, morals were maimed. Could a mate be counted as a true friend when you secretly wished him too ill to eat his meal? Harsh dividend of comradeship. They witnessed boys turning into old men, heads shrinking, teeth growing, pelvis and thigh bones standing out until their bodies bore red raw marks, yearning for a proper beano, eyes dimly glowing. So in this collection, there's a number of other poems in a wartime setting. And over the last 2 weeks, these poems have taken on a greater significance than I expected. And this first one is called The Carriage in the Forest. After 3 days of arguing, the armistice was signed in the French general's private train at a siding in the forest of Compiègne. The Kaiser left for exile in Holland. The military, unwilling to admit defeat, still surrendered guns and planes. No one told the people how bad things were. A German corporal, recovering after being gassed the month before, a misfit whose life only made sense in the trenches, blamed surrender on socialists and revolutionaries, treacherous tricksters. Germany hadn't really lost at all. Comrades had regarded him as weird, sat in a corner of the mess on his own, didn't care about leave or women, received no letters or parcels from home. The railway carriage displayed in Paris returned to the forest where it remained. When World War resumed, with swagger and swastikas, the corporal received France's surrender among the trees in the same compartment, the misfits' moment of revenge. And my final poem, we were all very shaken by a threat made in the last few days. Almost unbelievable, really. This poem is about two things. It's called Cherry Blossom, and it's about the boot polish, yes, but it's also about the cultural importance of cherry blossom to the people of Japan. Cherry blossom. Unknown soldier abandoned in the mud and blood, his boots miraculously still gleaming. Leather guarded against weather, demand blossomed on the Western Front. Boots on the ground. GIs found that Tokyo girls they took a shine to weren't swept off their feet, blamed their lack of polish, their rough, scuffed look. But it was much, much more than that. Not just what it said on the tin, its fish plate opener, the superficial sheen. Occupying Japanese soldiers often planted cherry trees. Temperate zone of the Northern Hemisphere, drinking sake under the branches. Militaristic plotters assumed the name. Suicidal pilots painted them on the sides of planes. The blossoms symbolized clouds in the nation's culture. Oh, what a cloud, and such brightness. Shadows left on walls, the ephemerality of lives. Thank you.